Good morning and welcome to Kent District Library's live streaming programs. My name is Ty, I'm from the Wyoming branch, and I'm excited to be here today with you all. Today we have a fun program called Animals Don't Wear Underpants, which will happen in just a moment here. But we have all kinds of programs happening through KDL live streaming this fall, including All right, so feel free to join us at 4:30 for the KDL Curiosity Labs every Wednesday. All right, so we have lots of programs, like I said, and many of them are actually archived. So if you don't catch them live, you can go to KDL's Facebook page or KDL's YouTube channel, and you can watch some of them after the fact. So feel free to dig through those if you get done with this one and just want to see more fun stuff. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's presenter. Today we have Miss Megan from the John Ball Zoo with a fun program called Animals Don't Wear Underpants. Good morning, Miss Megan. How's it going?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're glad to have you here. Are you all set to go?
I'm ready.
All right. I'll put it over to you.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Like Mr. Ty said, my name is Miss Megan. I am here at the John Ball Zoo. It's a little bit chilly today, but our zoo is open. We're excited for any time that you can come and visit us. But today is kind of a special day because instead of you coming to the zoo, I'm bringing a little bit of the zoo to you. I have 4 animals that we are going to get to meet today, and we are going to learn all about what these animals wear. So, spoiler alert, they do not wear underpants like you've heard already. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can see some of the fun stuff that we're going to talk about today. Today we're talking about all of the things that cover animals' bodies. So before we get into what covers an animal's body, I want you to think about what people wear, or maybe even think about what you're wearing right now. For example, I'm wearing my work shirt because I'm at work. Earlier I was wearing a jacket because it was pretty cold outside. So think about what people wear. In the wintertime, you might wear something that looks like this. You might wear a winter hat and a winter coat to keep you really nice and warm, snow pants if you like to play in the snow, or in the summertime, you might wear something more like this. If you like to go swimming, you probably have a swimsuit or a couple swimsuits that you can wear in the water. You might wear t-shirts or tank tops and shorts and flip-flops. So people wear a lot of things, and usually what we wear has something to do with the weather outside. But what about animals? What do you think animals wear? Sometimes in cartoons, you might see animals wearing something like this. This is Boo Boo and Yogi. And in this picture, you can see that they're wearing ties and Yogi is wearing a hat. Now, here at the zoo, that's not something we usually see. Instead, our animals wear something more like this. So these are our 2 bears that we have here at John Ball Zoo. This is Boo Boo and Yogi. Their names are the same as in the cartoon, but they have never worn hats. They've never worn ties. They've never worn underpants. Instead, they have something else that covers their body called fur. And they use their fur to help them do a lot of different things. And many animals have different kinds of things that cover their bodies. They might have things like wet skin that covers their body. They might have fur or hair. They might have feathers that covers their bodies. They might have dry scales, and they might have wet or slimy scales. We're going to talk about the different kinds of things that cover each types of animals' bodies. And we're going to start with birds. All birds, every bird you have ever seen in your life has something called feathers. And this is a picture of my friend Bali. He lives here at the zoo with us. He is a cockatoo, and he uses his feathers to help him to fly and to stay warm and to kind of be really handsome and show off to the girl cockatoos. But other birds might use their feathers stay really nice and warm. This is one of our flamingos, and many birds, just like the flamingo, has feathers to keep them warm. And those feathers help to hold in the body heat that the birds are able to make. So bird feathers are a lot like a coat. Other birds use their feathers to keep them dry. These are the penguins that live here at the zoo, and penguins are a type of bird. The penguin does not fly at all. Instead, they are expert swimmers, but their feathers really help them out because their feathers are waterproof. So when they come up out of the water and they give their body a little shake, all of that water falls right off of them so they can stay really dry, all thanks to their feathers. Now, some birds use their feathers to camouflage or to hide, like these ducks. These are some ducks that live here at the zoo as well, and their feathers help them to blend in with their background because they don't want bigger predator animals to see that they're there. So they're hiding to keep themselves safe. And their feathers help them to hide because of their colors and then blending in with their background. Now, if you are sitting with someone near you, or if you are all alone, I'm going to have you do something really kind of fun right now. To remember that birds have feathers, I have a repeat after me rhyme. So I'm going to say one part of the rhyme, and I want you to say it right after me until we are all done. So if you are ready to do a repeat after me rhyme, turn to your person next to you or all by yourself and just say, I'm ready. Awesome. Here we go. The first line. Feathers help a bird that flies. And if they swim, they keep them dry. So all birds have feathers and they help them to fly and swim and stay dry and stay warm. So I am actually going to bring out my first animal. He is a bird, and just like all birds, he is covered in feathers. So let's see. All right, I'm going to get my bird out, but while I'm getting him out, I do need something from you. I want you to act just like a bird wherever you are. So you can put your arms out like this and soar around the room like an eagle until you hear my voice telling you to come back. So if you're ready to be an eagle, start flying. I'll be right back. All right, all my eagles, come back to the screen. It's time for you to meet our first animal. This is Einstein, and Einstein is a chicken. Now, chickens are obviously a type of bird, and just like all birds, Einstein is covered in feathers. And his feathers help him to do a lot of different things. He's got really fluffy feathers here on his chest to keep him really, really nice and warm. He's got feathers on his wings and on his tail, and that helps him to be able to fly. Now, not everybody knows this, but most chickens are able to fly, and Einstein is pretty good at flying up into tree branches. Now, he also has really beautiful feathers. Check out this feather dew on top of his head. It's pretty fancy. He also has some really shiny tail feathers, and the feathers on his back are also really shiny, especially in the sun. Now, he has these shiny feathers so that he can look really, really handsome. So his feathers help him to do a lot of different things. Now, if you have questions about Einstein, we are going to have some time for questions at the end of our program today. So hang on to those questions, and we'll have time for those in a little bit. If you'd like, you can wave and say, bye, Einstein. All right, now while I'm putting Einstein back, I'm going to have you waddle around the room just like a penguin. And while you're doing that, make sure you're listening for my voice because I'm going to tell you when it's time to come back to your computer screen. All right, start waddling. All right. Oh, my penguins, please come back to your computer screen. Remember, all birds have feathers. Now, we are going to talk about our next type of animal, which is reptiles. Reptiles are some of my favorites. I'm really excited to talk to you about them today. All reptiles are covered in dry scales. Some people think that reptiles might be slimy. They're not. They're covered with very, very dry scales, like this box turtle and this rat snake that you see in this picture. And their dry scales help them to do a lot of different things. Their dry scales help them to camouflage. This is a picture of our panther chameleon, and he uses his color to camouflage or blend in with his background, just like those ducks that we saw earlier. However, the ducks are usually using their camouflage to hide from predators. The chameleon is using his camouflage to hide from the bugs that he wants to eat, so he can sneak up on them and eat them with his long, sticky tongue. So reptiles use their dry scales to help them camouflage. Reptiles also use their dry scales to warn other animals to stay away. This is a coral snake, and this is a very, very venomous and dangerous snake. So they're using the colors of their scales to tell other animals, hey, I'm really dangerous. You need to stay away from me. So some animals use their body covering to communicate a warning to other animals. And some reptiles use their scales for protection and use their body covering for protection. These are spotted turtles, and turtles have a hard outer shell that helps to protect them. It's kind of like body armor. So when there is an animal they think might eat them, they can pull their arms, legs, and head all the way into their shell and protect themselves. Now, it is time for our reptile rhyme. Remember, you're going to repeat each line after me. If you are ready to repeat after me, please say, I'm ready. All right, here we go. Reptile rhyme. Dry scales are the best styles to hide and protect reptiles. Awesome job. Now I am going to bring out my next friend, which is a reptile, for us to see what kind of body covering he has. So while I'm getting him out, what I want from you is to slowly walk around your room just like a turtle would, which is a type of reptile. So you're going to be a reptile while I get my reptile friend out. All right, here we go. All right, all of my turtle friends, please come back to your screen. It is time for you to meet one of my favorite types of animals. This is a reptile. His name is Mac, and he is an eastern milk snake. Now, some people think that snakes are very, very slimy and gross, but remember, all reptiles are covered with dry scales. So he's not slimy at all. He is a little bit shiny, so he might look a little bit slimy. He's not slimy at all. In fact, look at my finger. When I touch him, there's no slime left on my fingers. So his dry scales help him to do a few different things. He's got some really, really awesome camouflage. He spends most of his time on the ground in the forest, and those, we call them saddles, those spots on his back help him to blend in with the ground, and especially with dead leaves that are on the ground. The scales are also pretty tough on the top, and that helps to protect his body and to protect all the important things inside his body. But his scales on the bottom, if you look closely, are really long and skinny. Those scales are called his scutes, and he uses his scutes to help him to scoot along on the ground. They're very, very grippy. For snakes that climb trees, they use their scoots to grip onto the tree bark as they climb up the tree. It looks like he's ready to go exploring. This, I think, is his first time being in on a meeting on the computer, so I think he's probably pretty excited. His name is Mac, so if you would like, you can say, "Bye, Mac." And while I'm putting Mac back, I want you to slither around your room just like a snake, but make sure you're listening to my voice to hear when it's time to come back to your computer screen. Ready? Go. All right, all of my snake friends, please come back to your computer screen. Remember, dry scales are the best styles to hide and protect reptiles. Reptiles have dry scales. Now, the next kind of animal we are going to talk about are amphibians. Amphibians is kind of a tough word to say, but it's one of my favorites. So let's say it one more time. Amphibians. Amphibians are really interesting animals, and they are covered with wet, slimy skin, just like this tiger salamander. And wet, slimy skin might sound a little bit strange, but it's actually very helpful for amphibians and for them to survive. So let's take a look and see what amphibians do with their wet, slimy skin. Some amphibians use their wet, slimy skin as a warning. This is a poison dart frog. And poison dart frogs, just like their name suggests, are very, very poisonous. So those bright colors all over his skin tell other animals and humans too to stay away from me. I am a very poisonous animal. You do not want to mess around with me. They also use their wet, slimy skin as camouflage. So some of them use their bright colors to stand out and warn animals to stay away. Others use their colors to blend in with their surroundings. This is a magnificent tree frog, and his green color almost perfectly matches the leaves all around him so that other animals don't see that he's sitting there. He can take a nice little nap out on that branch, and no other animals are going to see him because he's camouflaging so well. And then some of them use their body covering as protection. This is an emperor newt. And an emperor newt is a poisonous animal. So that poison that they have all over their wet, slimy skin helps to protect them from animals that might want to eat them. Because would you want to eat a poisonous newt? No way. You would get really sick, and other animals don't want to eat that either. So it is time for our amphibian rhyme. So if you're ready to repeat after me, say, "I'm ready." All right, here we go. Wet skin is a frog's best friend. Who wears it are amphibians. Great job, you guys. I'm going to bring out my next animal, which is an amphibian, for you to meet. And while I'm getting him out, what I want from you is to jump all around the room just like a frog. So if you're ready, start hopping. All right, all my froggy friends, please come back to your screen. It is time for you to meet one of the coolest amphibians. This animal, his name is Jabba, kind of like Jabba the Hutt, and he is a horned frog. This type of frog comes from South America and they live in the rainforest where it's really hot and really humid. There's lots of rain there, and they spend most of their time on the ground in that rainforest. And this is perfect for them because while they're on the ground, they're going to kind of scooch their bodies down into the soil, and they've got awesome camouflage to blend in with their surroundings. What they're doing when they're scooching down into the soil and they're using their camouflage to hide, they're actually waiting for some food to hop by. They love eating all different kinds of insects. In fact, some of their favorite foods is actually caterpillars. So they are using their camouflage to help them get food. But their wet, slimy skin is sort of like their superpower because he uses his wet, slimy skin to be able to drink water. His slimy skin is kind of like a sponge, and he's able to soak up water all around him. He's also able to breathe through his skin. So his skin is very, very important. It's also why he's in this clear container, because if I were to pick him up and touch him, I have some hand sanitizer on my hands. In the summertime, I might have things like sunscreen or bug spray on my hands, and that kind of thing can make him sick because if he can drink water through his skin, he's going to soak up all those different things that are on my hands, and that could hurt him. So I'm going to leave him in this clear container for you to look at. Now, this is a really cool frog because he has a nickname, which is the Pac-Man frog. And the reason he's called the Pac-Man frog is because he's got such a ginormous mouth, just like Pac-Man. He's also pretty big and round, too. He's got a huge appetite. He loves eating all different kinds of food. So he'll eat pretty much as much food as he can find. All right, if you're ready to say goodbye, you can say, bye, Jabba. And we've got another type of animal to start talking about. But before we do, remember, we're going to go through our amphibian rhyme. Wet skin is a frog's best friend. Who wears it are amphibians. Now, the next kind of animal we are going to talk about is mammals. And this is one that a lot of us are a little bit more familiar with because mammals are things like cats and dogs and even humans. Did you know that humans are a type of mammal? It's true. And mammals have special things that cover their bodies like fur or hair, just like the snow leopard has its body covered in fur, and they use their fur or hair to do lots of different things. This is a picture of Boo Boo in the snow. Boo Boo is one of our brown bears that lives here at the zoo, and she's got very, very thick fur to keep her nice and warm. So even when it's really snowy and cold outside, she can go out because she's got her winter coat on all the time. It's that thick fur that keeps her really nice and warm. But some mammals use their fur to help them camouflage. This is Chumani. She is a river otter that lives here at the zoo, and she is sort of like the master of camouflage because so many people, when they go up to visit the river otters, they turn around to me and they say, "There's no river otter in here." And that's because Chumani is so good at looking a lot like a rock. When she's sleeping, she kind of curls her body up into a tight little circle, and her body covering and her colors help her to blend in with her surroundings and look like a rock. So people sometimes don't even see that she's there because she's so good at camouflage. Now it is time for our mammal rhyme. So if you're ready to repeat after me, please say, "I'm ready." All right, here we go. Mammals' fur is what they wear. What keeps them warm? It's all that hair. Awesome job, everyone. Now I'm going to bring out my next mammal friend. And what I want from you is to move around your room just like a mammal. But you get to pick which mammal you want to be. You might want to be a bear. You might want to be an otter or a cat or a dog or a monkey. Or you might just want to be a human moving all around the room because remember, humans are mammals too. So while I'm bringing out my mammal friend, go ahead and move around the room just like a mammal. But remember to listen for my voice because I'm going to tell you when it's time to come back to your screen. All right, go ahead.
All right, the mammal I have for you today is called a tenrec. A tenrec is a mammal that looks a lot like a hedgehog, but they're actually more closely related to the elephant, which is pretty crazy because I think they look a lot more like a hedgehog than they do like an elephant. But they're a pretty cool mammal, and just like all other mammals, they have fur and hair that covers their body. Their face is pretty hairy, and they've got some hair on their belly and fur on their belly to stay nice and cozy. But they have something really interesting on the top of their body. These are called spines, and they're really, really sharp. And you might think, wait a sec, I thought mammals were covered in fur or hair, not spines. But the spines are actually made out of the same thing as your hair. They're just really pokey on the end. And those pokey spines help to protect this tenrec. This tenrec, if it's feeling like he is in danger, if there's an animal he thinks might want to eat him, what he'll do is he'll curl his body up into a tight little ball so that he's protecting his belly and he's protecting his face, and that way he can stay safe because most animals don't want to eat a pokey ball because that would be really, really uncomfortable. And that's a great way for him to protect himself. You might notice that he's been moving around a lot. He's got a lot of energy and he loves to look around for food. He loves eating all different kinds of insects. He's an insectivore, so he's looking to see if there are any insects in here. There aren't any right now, but he's looking around and he's checking just to make sure. All right. His name is Winston, by the way. So if you'd like, you can say, bye, Winston. All right. And while I'm putting Winston back, I'm going to have you move around the room one last time, just like whichever mammal you would like to move around like. And then make sure you're listening for my voice for when I say it's time to come back to your screen. Ready? Go.
All right, mammals, please come back to your screen. Remember, mammals' fur is what they wear. What keeps them warm? It's all that hair. Mammals have fur or hair that cover their body. Now, the last animal we are going to talk about today is a fish. I did not bring any fish with me here into this classroom. If you want to see some fish, you can come and visit us at the zoo. We've got a ton of fish up in our aquarium. But they do have some really interesting things that cover their body, so I still wanted to tell you about them. Fish have slimy scales on the outside of their body. So the reptiles have dry scales, fish have slimy scales. And their slimy scales can be used as a warning. So this is a clownfish, and they use that bright orange color with the white stripes to warn other animals to stay away. I'm very dangerous, because they get their danger from the anemones where they live, kind of like in Finding Nemo. Some fish use their slimy scales to help them camouflage or blend in with their surroundings. Take a look at this picture. Wait a second. Is there even a fish in this picture? Can you find one? Oh, there it is. You can kind of see its fins and its eyes and its mouth. This fish is great at camouflage. It's really hard to see him up against the reef. And so his camouflage helps him to hide from predators that might want to eat him. That's some really good camouflage. And some fish use their slimy scales for protection. This is a rockfish that lives here at the zoo that you can come and visit. And it kind of looks like he has a mohawk on top of his head. But that mohawk is actually his fin, and it's really sharp on the top. So if I were to reach in and try to grab this rockfish out of the water, those fins, those would poke into my hands, and that would hurt a lot. So they use their slimy scales to protect themselves. Now, it's time for our very last rhyme. So if you're ready, as loud as you possibly can, say, I'm ready. Great job. Repeat after me. Slimy scales protect the fish. They know that they are stylish. Awesome job. Now, as we have now figured out, none of these animals have worn underpants. Instead, they have lots of different things that cover their body that help them to survive. Things like fur and hair, slimy scales. And if you come to the zoo, you can see lots of different types of body covering. Now, we do have a few minutes left for a couple questions. If you have any questions, please go ahead. I think Mr. Ty is going to have you put it in chat. Mr. Ty, is that correct?
Yes, if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the comments section on YouTube or Facebook, and we will respond to them. While we wait for any questions to come through, I have a question for you, Miss Megan.
Go ahead.
So I first of all, thank you. I loved listening to all of this. That frog was adorable, and I just wanted to just hold it and snuggle it in my hands.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they breathe through their skin, and it could be
Right.
dangerous if you have stuff on your hands. If one washes their hands right before handling a frog, is that okay, or do you recommend people don't handle them in general?
Right. If you're like Mr. Ty and you are just dying to pick up a frog, something that you can do to actually help keep them safe, it sounds kind of crazy. You don't rush inside and wash your hands first. You can make sure that your hands are really well washed before you go out to look at frogs. But what you really want to do is get your hands super, super dirty first. I call it putting on your mud gloves. So what you can do is reach down into the mud or into the dirt and rub it all over your hands. Get your hands really muddy or dirty, because those amphibians are used to the dirt and used to the mud, and having that layer between your hands and the animal can actually keep them safe. And then it's also kind of fun to have your hands get dirty every once in a while too.
Perfect. Oh, that makes sense. So you're basically coating your hands in the environment in which the frog is already living.
Right, exactly.
I love it. Because I love to catch frogs with my kids,
Yeah.
And now suddenly I'm going, oh no, have I been making all these frogs sick over the years? I would hate to do that. The last thing I want to do is hurt an animal, especially an
Right.
adorable frog. So thank you.
Of course.
All right. We don't have any questions yet in the comments. Give it another minute in case anybody has an inquiry. Let's see.
And then while we're waiting too, next month you can join us again where the zoo and KDL are joining together to do another program just like this, and we'll be learning all about habitats in that
Wonderful.
program. So it'll
Yes.
be really fun. And we'll have more animals for you to meet as well.
Yep. And that's on October 17th, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m. So if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, join us for that one. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up and call it a day for this one. Thank you so much, Miss Megan. That was delightful.
My pleasure. Thanks so
right.
much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us today. And I am going to leave you with some outro music. Have a good weekend.